March 30th, 2017. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 123 of You Can Bet On That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet On That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting across from me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
So, Villanova was your big pick.
It's typical, right? Because I'm thinking, well, they're the number one overall pick. Mm-hmm. And they're defending champions. Yep. And they're playing good. At the time, they were going in the tournament playing good. And if they hadn't won the tournament, like the whole thing, I would have been okay with that. But I seriously was thinking Final Four, Final Eight for sure, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. They won one game.
It's too bad you didn't have Gonzaga.
Yeah,
they're still in it.
Right.
As we're recording this, we're recording it when we know what the Sweet 16 is, but when we post this, you out there in podcast land will know who the Final Four is, but we don't know right now.
So as we're recording this, we're just to the Sweet 16.
Yes.
And the only team I have left in our pool is Oregon.
Oregon, which is not bad.
Not bad, but they're not going to win it, I don't think.
Well, hopefully you can get your money back.
Yeah, probably not with one team.
Yeah.
And they play first on Thursday. They're the first game on Thursday.
Oh, okay. So you'll know.
So I could possibly be eliminated at the very first game. I mean, I made it to the Sweet 16, but no further past the first 2 hours.
Sorry about that, sir.
And, Paul complaining about, I don't want Gonzaga. I don't want, right now, I'd take Gonzaga.
Of course. They looked good.
They looked really good, actually.
All right. So this last weekend, we headed up to Harrah's, Southern California. We went with listener Andrew.
Yeah, our usual trip every Friday.
Our Friday. And we were at a craps table. It was a $10 table. And it, wasn't going all that great. It was okay. It was just kind of up and down. I don't remember.
It was up and down, but I was actually winning.
Yeah, I was doing okay.
Yeah.
So I want to tell a story about something that happened at the table. And I don't know if you can glean anything from this story, but anyway.
I think you can.
All right. So anyway, we are in the middle of the roll. The guy's point was 4.
And he was actually having a pretty decent roll.
It seemed like it was a good roll.
Yeah.
So a guy steps up to the table right next to me, and he buys in for, I don't know how much he bought in for.
He bought in for
$2,226. Okay, all right. Well, anyway, it was the middle of a hand, and that is pretty much an etiquette no-no.
Yeah, it's a breach of etiquette, really.
Yeah, usually what you do is you wait until either the shooter seven's out, or even if he just makes his point and it's the come out roll. If he makes a point
and it's come out and there's a lot of stuff paying people and going on, that's a good time to buy in. I have no problem with that. Mm-hmm. And definitely waiting for the next shooter is no problem. Mm-hmm. And I also have no problem in the middle of the roll if you want to buy in, and you're just going to make a couple bets and you're going to buy in for $60.
Or you just you give them 100, just say, give me 30 on the 6 and 8. And here's $100. Like you're not making a bit. Yeah, I've got no problem with that.
And they put your $60 in bets out there, and they give you 40 change. It boom, boom, boom. It goes quick. Yeah. No problem with that at all. Yeah. You buy in for $2,226. Which they have to count out.
Right, and
it wasn't. If it is $2,000,
it would have been even easier.
A little easier, but the 26. Come on.
Yeah. Cousin Vito and the Annoyed Pit Boss were even talking about it on his last episode about how it's just bad etiquette. Right. Now, there's nothing illegal about it. It's not against the rules.
No, and the casino's not going to say, hey, wait.
No, not at all.
They're going to take your money and, just go on.
The guy did it and whatever. I'm certainly not going to get bent out of shape out of it. It's
we've seen it happen so many times. It doesn't really bother me that much.
Yeah. And so,
but what ensued bothered me.
All right. So what happened next was one of the dealers actually said something.
Yeah, who was on the cards. It was the guy
who's turning the cards. As everybody remembers, we have card craps here in California for new listeners. So anyway, the dealer said something to the effect of, this guy bought in the middle of a hand.
Yeah, well, he said, turn off your bets.
Oh, he said that?
He actually said, turn off your bets.
Oh, I missed that, Mike. Yeah. Okay, so
he made about 3 comments.
Okay.
He said, first thing he said was, because I was right next to him, right? He said, turn off your bets under his breath.
Oh, okay.
And then he said something else about, why in the middle of a hand, a good hand.
I didn't realize it was that bad. I thought it was just a kind of a harmless comment about, okay.
No, he made at least 3 comments under his breath.
All right. Well,
that I could hear.
Yeah.
And the guy probably could hear.
Well, he definitely did as we continue with the story. So that was inappropriate. The dealer should not have said something.
No, you can't say anything.
No, as an employee of the casino,
well,
he was
even
out
as
of
a player,
line.
I wouldn't say anything.
No,
you know?
no,
I mean, it serves no purpose, right?
That's right. Well, the guy who bought in, he lost it and started cussing the guy out and dropping F-bombs. And
right.
So at that point,
he acted way more severely than he really needed to.
Agreed. So if I had to take sides, they're both to blame, but he was way more out of line than the dealer.
Way more out of line.
And so right then I decided, okay, this is a bad feeling at this table. I'm going to leave. Now, it's not a bad feeling that I think the dice are going to go cold, because that's ridiculous. It's just I don't like being at a table where people are, arguing with each other, or, it's just people aren't having fun. And,
well, why do you have to do that?
Yeah, it's his personality.
Yeah,
right?
It's his personality. But I mean, why would we want to put up with it?
Yeah. So as soon as he started dropping F-bombs, I immediately said, bring all my bets down. Not turn them off, bring them down.
Right.
Now, I had some cum bets that had to stay out there, and I understood that, but they gave me all my odds back. And as I'm collecting, it's funny because the guy turns to me and is kind of wanting to get some sympathy from me. He's telling me a story about how once he was rolling and he was on like the fifth number of a fire bet and somebody bought in right in the middle.
Right.
And I kind of reacted like, like who cares? I don't, I'm leaving this table. That's all there is to it.
Well, do you remember that after he exploded pretty much, said a few things, he also said, what difference does it make? He's only made 1 point. and he's only rolled a few numbers after that. So it's not like it,
It's not like the guy who did it to me when I was on
it's not like I made 5 points. Right. Yeah. He's trying to justify it to everybody on the table.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, just shut up and collect your money.
Yeah. Well, you saw me. It was not,
you immediately
I was not
left.
slow. I left. And I did have to come back because one of my cum bets won, but I had my odds off and I didn't care about that. So I left. You and Andrew stayed at the table. There really wasn't room for you to come over to the table I moved to.
No, that was it. I looked and I thought, well, there's no room and I'll just write it out and see what happens. Well, the shooter rolled one more time. That's how you won your cum bet that was up there.
Yeah.
And then he 7'd out.
Yeah.
And actually, to the credit of everyone else on the table, nobody said a word.
Yeah, good.
Nobody said anything like, see,
because it doesn't matter.
Because it doesn't matter. Right. It would have happened, anyway.
Now,
just the guy was such a jerk about it.
Right.
And what got me more, and I told you this later, is he bought in for $2,226 and proceeded, and I stayed for a while.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I stayed for a while. So I was watching what he was doing. All he did was make a $10 don't come bet. Mm-hmm. It would go up to the first number that was rolled. Mm-hmm. He would lay odds and then wait.
And that was it.
But
he bought in for that large and strange amount.
Large and strange amount. Yeah. Why not just buy in for $200?
Yeah, I don't know.
Right? If you're going to make a 10, and he wasn't taking full odds.
Okay.
Later, after we left the table, we eventually all left. Mm-hmm. And I did see him like lay in like the 4 for a couple $100 or something. He was putting a little more money out there.
Yeah.
But for the first half hour that I was at that table with him, he made very small bets. Mm-hmm. So why buy in for all that? Why slow the game down for that?
One nice thing is that the table I moved to got real hot when I got there. Again, this is just dumb luck, right? But it's kind of a nice feeling like, okay, I made the right move. So, but I don't understand angry gamblers. No. Maybe I shouldn't phrase it that way because I guess I understand angry people. But if you're angry, you probably shouldn't be gambling.
Right.
Right. And we've all seen it. We've all seen angry gamblers. There are a lot of them.
Oh, there's a lot of them. Yeah.
So.
And he was just new to the table. I don't know if he had been in the casino earlier, if he had lost a lot of money or what was going on in his life or anything. But he way over exploded.
Yep.
I don't know. It's an odd situation because we don't really believe that it changed the dice or anything.
No, of course not.
But why do it? Why? Yeah. It just didn't make sense.
Yeah. And if he's that mad, color up and leave.
Yeah.
Really, if you're that mad, a dealer has made you that angry that you're cussing him out.
Right.
And you're still going to play?
You're going to stay there and play with that dealer?
Yeah, I understand.
I don't know if you noticed, but so the dealer actually, when he went on break, he took like 2 breaks.
Uh-huh.
So they brought somebody else in for a little bit and then they brought him back.
Uh-huh.
Now, I have no idea if that was planned or if it was just, like, oh, sometimes they'll have things so like they have to take a test or something.
Yeah.
And they get like a double break and somebody else comes in and fills in for a few minutes.
You think somebody talked to him?
Maybe somebody talked to him, or, they just wanted him to a cool down period. I don't know what. But he did come back and that player stayed there. We moved to another table. We ended up playing on a third table, which was not a good decision, right?
As usual.
Because that was a bad decision. But yeah, that player stayed there for quite a long time. I never saw at the end how he fared, good or bad. Yeah. But when anything goes wrong, just leave.
I know. Yeah.
You did the right thing.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to be a part of it. It was just like, I'm not going to enjoy myself.
Well, and it's not, it's bad karma, it's this, it's that. It's just why be uncomfortable?
Just uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, why be uncomfortable? We're there to have fun.
Yeah, exactly. All right, on our last episode, we talked about casino credit, and we actually got a lot of feedback from the likes of TravelZork on Twitter, Keith on Facebook, and our buddy Eric via email, among others. So here's some stuff that we've learned. We talked about last time how you've got credit up at Harrah's Southern California.
Right.
It's the first time you've ever had it. Now, one of the things we talked about last time was if you've got a mark, or you owe them like $1,000 on one Saturday, you can come back the next Saturday, get another marker for $1,000, and if you just break even, for that session, you can go and pay off that first marker. Get that cleared, and then you've got a new marker that has a new grace period. In the case of Harrah's Southern California, it's 2 weeks.
Right. So, it's a great deal.
Yeah, right.
Well, we found out that's not the case everywhere.
In many jurisdictions, if you have several markers out, you have to pay your most recent marker first.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I can understand why. It's to prevent players from doing what you do, right? They call it, Keith called it churning. Where you continue to, basically push the date further and further out.
Churn the butter.
Yeah, right. So in a lot of places, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Right?
So if you're going to have to pay your most recent one back first, would it make sense then when you take money out to take smaller amounts?
It could be, but there's another point that some listeners told us about too, and we'll talk about that. And so to make a broad statement, we can't really answer that yet, but we'll talk a little bit more. Also, depending on the jurisdiction, the state, it could depend on the credit limit. And you kind of touched upon this last time. The grace period, or the period that you have to pay it back, will be different.
Right.
It could be short, 2 weeks, could be 30 days, 90 days, 45 days. It depends on a lot of factors. Now, also at many casinos, if you take out a marker at a table, you play a little while, and when you're ready to leave, you still have some chips left, you have to use those chips to pay back some or all of your marker.
Right.
So if you ask for a marker for $1,000, you play for a half hour and you've lost 500. So you have 500 chips left, $500 in chips left.
Right.
You have to pay back $500 of your marker with the chips that you have there.
Then they'd have to issue you a new marker for $500.
Well, see, no, this is what we were talking about. Now at Harrah's Southern California, the reason you don't have to do that is because when you sign that marker, it immediately leaves the table and goes to the cashier.
Right. So you can't pay it back unless you go to the cashier.
Right. So they have no way of even knowing. But at places where they keep the marker at the table, they just look, Dr. Mike, you need to, pay back part of this. And then, they update it to show the new amount that you owe.
They'd have to write a whole new one and have you sign for that.
That could be, or there might be a little place on there where they change the amount and you just initial it or something like that.
It just seems like that'd be a big hassle.
Well, it's pretty standard in a lot of places. It really depends.
Well, and I wonder, maybe somebody knows the answer to this. Is there a dollar amount? So let's say I took out $1,000. And I ended up with $142.
Oh, right.
Are they going to say, hey, give us that $142?
Oh, they probably round. It's probably discretionary on their part. So it'd probably be like $100. But there is probably, a cutoff that they follow.
There'd have to be some cutoff. I mean, you'd think if some guy took out $5,000, they're not going to make him pay back $220.
Yeah, maybe not. There probably
maybe
is
there'd be something
cutoff,
like, well, 50. If you have more than 50% left, you better pay that back.
Right. The idea is that they just don't want you to use the marker system as a way to get cash like you would from an ATM.
Right. Yeah. Interest-free cash.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
Exactly. And then finally, Eric actually warned us about a tactic some casinos use called TTO, which stands for this trip only. Now, when you've reached your credit limit, the casino can authorize additional credit only available for the current trip, anywhere from 20 to 50% of your total credit line. So say you've got a $10,000 credit line and you've maxed it out. The casino might say, oh, we can give you an additional $5,000 to play with as part of a TTO. Now, Eric told us a story about a really bad trip he was having, and he had reached his max credit, and he was a bit drunk at the table, and the pit offered to give him some comps if he would take out additional money, additional credit as a TTO.
So the TTO, does that work the same as his other markers? I mean, is it, still interest free and you have whatever a month to pay it back?
It works the same, but what it is now it's more credit than he had intended to have at that casino.
Right.
And, especially if you've got a player who's vulnerable, maybe not even drunk, but maybe has, a problem, a gambling problem.
Yeah, so eager to get his money back.
We can give you a little bit more.
Right.
So that's kind of predatory on the part of the casino, and it's something you need to watch out for.
Right. It's like a bank giving you an interest-free loan so you can buy a house that you can't ever afford to pay.
That's right. That's exactly right, Dr. Mike. You make it sound like that's something you've done.
That is not something I've done.
All right.
But I know plenty of people who have done that.
Something like that. All right. From a casino?
Not from a casino,
but
from a bank.
Other means. All right, I got you. Yeah.
I just don't want people to think that we're saying casinos might do something shady in order to make money.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And they're the only ones that do that.
Oh, okay.
That happens quite a bit in life.
All right, I got you.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's some additional information on casino credit, things that we were not aware of, only because, we've been, just basically doing it one casino.
I'm surprised, though, with that TTO that they would do that, say up to 50%. Because if you have a $10,000 line and all of a sudden, here's $5,000 more. Well, what if your bank account...
They probably would check. Yeah, I would
that.
hope that they would check to make sure that they could get the money.
Yeah, well,
it's to their benefit.
The pit, they probably wouldn't.
I don't know.
The cage might be able to check, but the pit, that would seem like an awfully risky thing. Yeah. Unless you were a regular and they knew you and they knew you were probably good for it.
Maybe, that's a good question. You're right. I don't think the pit has that much information in front of him, but maybe he does. So,
maybe there's something in those computers because the first thing they do is go to the computer and see how much money you have available and what your history. I'm sure it shows your history.
Oh, yeah.
Screwed with them before if you've manipulated things or done stuff or if there's anything about you in there they don't like, they probably no, that's okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bill. No line of credit.
That's no line of credit, Bill. Sorry. I've been coming here for 40 years. Well, no, Bill, it's only been open for about 20. So good old Bill. So listener Kevin pointed us to an article that Dr. Dave Schwartz had written for Vegas 7 about how the Lucky Dragon in Las Vegas has implemented a rolling chip program similar to the ones used in virtually all Asian casinos. Now, what is a rolling chip program? A rolling chip program is a means of more accurately tracking a gambler's play than simply a pit boss trying to estimate average wager and rate of play, things like that. We know that that's not an exact science.
Yeah, well, the way you're describing this initially here, it sounds to me like this is something that actually is in the benefit of the player.
I think it is in the benefit of the player, right? And that's why players do it as we go through here. And I think that's why it can be attractive to players. Because usually if the pit is getting your rating wrong, it's not in your favor, it's against you.
Yeah, right,
now,
exactly.
I'm making a broad statement. I have nothing to back that up with.
But it sounds good initially, the way you're describing this to me right now, because this is the first I'm hearing of this.
I was not familiar with it either. Well, here's how it works. Well, here's an example. Let's say a baccarat player sits down at a table and wants to buy in for $10,000. We'll use large amounts in this example because typically rolling chips are used to rate big players.
Right.
Okay.
Well, the rating is more important to a player wagering a lot than it is to somebody not wagering as much.
Right. It's typically big players playing Asian games like baccarat.
Right. Because in their rating, we should explain this. People might not know. I mean, if you're a small player and you get rated, you might be hoping to get like a buffet.
Mm-hmm. Right.
These people are hoping to get cash back.
Or big comps.
Or
big comps, like,
airfare,
vacations, that kind of thing. Or cash. Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. So instead of buying in for $10,000 in regular negotiable casino chips, the player buys $10,000 worth of non-negotiable rolling chips. These are chips that cannot be cashed in. They can only be played at the table. So the player plays with these non-negotiable chips. If he loses a bet, the dealer simply takes the chips. But if he wins a bet, the dealer pays him off in regular negotiable casino chips. Okay. So the concept here is that when the player has run out of these rolling chips, the casino knows exactly how much the player has wagered. Exactly, right?
Yeah.
They don't have to keep track of
because they don't have any more of them, and you gave them $10,000, so they must have went through $10,000.
Now this can be good for the player because the casino is going to reward the player in some way. Right. Anybody who's betting that much. A typical deal might be the casino says, okay, if you buy in for $10,000 in rolling chips, we'll return 1.5% of that in real chips. Or simply in cash, something like that. Right. And there are many different deals that can be made as far as these rollings. It depends on the policy at the casino and all sorts of things.
You've kind of heard this stuff with slot play. If they'll say, he'll have a promo. If you coin in $5,000, we'll reward you with so much free play or something, right?
Right. And with slot machines, they know exactly how much is being bet, right? Or with table games,
it's
they
a little harder to do.
Right. They have to kind of estimate. Right. So this, again, is very popular in some of the casinos in Asia. And there are a few casinos in the United States who have adopted it, but the Lucky Dragon is going all out to try to attract big players.
Some of their players from overseas who come to Vegas and play may be used to that. They may be doing it out of necessity too, because they may, hey, wait a minute, this is what we do when we play over in Macau.
Apparently, in places like Macau, a lot of these details on the rolling chips are done through junkets.
Right.
But in the case of the Lucky Dragon, it sounds like they're going to directly to the players to try to attract players to this.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. By junkets, you mean where they set something up like, "Hey, come to our casino."
Well, there's like a third party who says, who
it's
works
like a host.
Yes,
basically.
right, and says, to the casino, "Hey, I'm going to bring this big player to you." He says to the player, "Hey, you're going to get all this from the casino," and it's like a go.
There's a middleman. Actually.
Yep.
I'd be interested in doing something like that, but honestly, I'd probably be sneaking away some of those chips in my pocket. Then I'd get home and I'd find out, wait a minute.
They're worthless.
Yeah, they're worthless.
Maybe there's like a time limit too. You go back, you had to play those yesterday.
Yeah, sorry.
Dr. Mike, you kind of lied to us. You said you were going to go through all this. That's the other thing too. Right. We talked before we got on mic. If you're going to go for something like this, $10,000, you have to be prepared to play through all of it.
Right.
So really is for somebody who plans to be playing at the table for a long time.
Now, who would go to a table and play a table game for 5, 6, 7 hours straight?
It sounds crazy to me, Dr. Mike.
It's crazy.
I can't imagine anybody
and not
doing
leave.
That.
Just stay at that same table.
I know, and not
go eating.
Not even go to the bathroom.
No, not go to the bathroom, the spa, nothing. Just play.
It's nuts. Why do we have a podcast about gambling? This is ridiculous.
It's silly.
All right. Thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Hey, remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, please go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link at the top of the page. All right, let's jump to our voicemail hotline. Remember, call our hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
And maybe we'll play your clip on the show. First up is Vinny.
Hey, guys, it's Vincent, Vinny from Long Island again. One quick question maybe you can help me with, and I know you guys may have touched upon this in the past, but being as you are my go-to craps guys here in terms of the podcast world, figured you might be able to explain it a little better. As mentioned in my last message there, Golden Nugget had a 10 times odds on the $10 table. It unfortunately eventually went to 25 minimum bet. So I moved over to the 5 times full odds $15 table. And, when I had $15 in the pass line, I was able to back it up. And, I'm used to backing it up on a 6 and an 8, for instance. Odds. But I do remember with the full times odds that they used to have over at Borgata that you were able to go to 125. I don't understand why I'm able to go to 125, but definitely know that I was able to. And the dealers are very helpful and told me I can go to 125 on the back of my 6 and 8 points. So as the rolls were getting a little bit better and making some money, I ended up going up to $25 on the pass line. So when I had $25 on the pass line and a 6 came out, I asked the dealer, I'm like, so how much can I put down for odds? And they said 125. And I was just kind of perplexed. I'm like, well, wasn't 15 the max 125? Why is 25 the max 125? And he said, yeah, but if you go to 30, you can go $30 on the fast line, you can go to 250 behind. So that just seems crazy to me. That, for $5 extra, I'm able to go from 125 to 250 on my odds bet for my 6s and 8s. So just hoping you guys can explain this to me. I'm guessing on these types of tables, it makes no sense to play $20 or $25. You really need to play 15 or 30. So hoping you guys can clear this up for us. I know my friends and I kind of discussed it, and for the life of me, I don't get it. Sometimes when I ask dealers, they don't really get it. So hopefully you can help us out. Thanks.
We should just give him the short answer. Vinny, you're 100% correct.
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense. Nobody can explain it because it makes no sense. We talked about full 5 times odds back on episode 114. So if you haven't heard that, go back and listen. But no, it's ridiculous. Okay, you have $15 on the line.
Right.
For the 6 and 8, you can back that up with $125 in odds.
Right. Which would be typical at a 5 times table if you had a quarter on the line.
Yes. Okay.
And usually with 15, it'd be 75.
But they let you go a little bit more because this is full times odds. Now, what does that work out to be? That's 8 1/3 odds for the 6 and 8.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
So who knows who came up with it, but that's what it comes down to.
Right.
And what that means is for every $3 you have, say, on the pass line, you can back up a 6 or 8 with $25.
Right.
So for every $3 on the pass line, you can back it up with 25. So if you have 15 on the pass line, you can back it with 125. If you have 30 on the pass line, you can back it up with 250. Well, if you have $18, which is a multiple of 3, you should be able to back that up with $150.
Yes, correct.
Right? But now, you're trying to bet $25. Oh, well, that's not divisible by 3. So they just say, it's 125, just like 15.
Right.
See, here's the thing is that there are some casinos that will say, you've got 25 out there. Yeah, you can bet 200.
Right.
Which is a little less than 8 1/3, right?
Yeah. And I have had that where they let you bet 200 on 25, and you add another nickel, you can go to 250.
Yeah, but there are other places like, when you were playing, Vinny, where 15, 25, that's not, 15 is 125, and then the jump is to 30 and 250. So it's going to depend on the casino. It makes no sense.
Right.
Who knows who came up with it? It was some guy, it was some high roller who pushed the house. That's basically
That's probably it. It really only benefits a guy that, like me, I'm normally making $25 bets. So in that case, I just make a $30 bet and put $250 in odds. I'm willing to do that.
Yeah.
But if you're having a poor run, that can eat you up very, very quick.
Right. And again, it's going to depend on the casino. It'll probably depend on the dealers. What crew you have. You'll get different answers.
Right.
So no, don't feel bad about not being able to figure it out, Vinny, because no one can. It doesn't make any sense.
When we were at Hollywood,
where they have full 5 times odds.
Full 5 times odds. You were stuck trying to get a chocolate shake.
Right.
And you couldn't get it because they were screwing up.
Yeah.
But I made my bet, and I knew they had full 5 times odds, right? So I put $250 behind a $30 point of 8. And the dealers, I don't think you can do that.
Yeah, see?
But he didn't tell me no. He just said, I don't think you can do that. He said, let me check. So the pit guy wasn't standing there. He had turned around and was dealing with someone else.
Yeah.
So he went over and asked him, yeah, that's it. You can go to 250.
Yeah.
So, the dealer wasn't quite sure exactly what it was.
Yep.
He knew I could put more than $125, but he didn't know what.
Yeah.
So, but he checked, and then the pit had it right.
Yep.
Funny thing is, if you're trying to explain that to somebody,
I know it. You can't.
It's impossible. It makes no sense.
Just offer 10 times odds. Period.
And
There's
then the next
problem.
question is, well, what if I put 50 on the line, like I do sometimes at Harris?
Oh,
we're in a good roll. The guy's made 3 points. I put 50 on the line.
Yeah.
What can I go to now?
Well, let's see. 48 is the closest multiple of 3, under 50. So divide that by 3, multiply it by 25. Yeah, it's so silly.
It's very silly.
Yeah.
What would you think they'd let me go on 50? I bet you it's 250. I think it's the same as 30.
No, because, they would think, if you bet 45, we'd let you go to 375. Yeah. So hopefully they'd let you to 400. That's my answer. Hopefully if you bet 50, they'll let you go to 400.
All right, we'll try that one time.
Okay.
We'll try and see what they
Great. All right, great. All right, next up is Sam.
Hey guys, what's up? Sam I am from South Florida checking in. Love the show. Awesome. Excellent. Informative. Love the camaraderie. You guys are awesome. Would love to gamble with you. I used to be double platinum at Hard Rock Casino in Biloxi, Mississippi. I enjoyed going up to the spa. I enjoyed the amenities, the pool. I'm wondering if you guys ever take advantage of the spa or the pool. I'd also like to ask the dealer a question. Who's the most famous person they ever met? Did anybody ever make it rain? Anyway, thanks, guys. Good luck at the tables. Good luck, everybody. I'm a slot player myself. I don't know anything about craps, but I just love to listen to y'all's show. So I hope everybody's got good cards, good slots, good games. And everybody tip and have fun. See ya!
Yeah, we need to do another Ask a Dealer segment. Get Seven of Diamonds back on, or even Bear Maulings on Twitter. He said he'd like to come on and answer some questions. That's a good question, though. Yeah, who's the most famous?
Well, I'll tell you what, Sam. I'll tell you, for our Ask a Dealer, she's going to answer. I don't know the right answer, but I know one person famous.
Yeah, I know who you're going to say. I know who you're going to say.
Who is it?
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray, exactly.
Yeah.
Because he's out there at Harris Rincon.
Yeah, he's got like a place fairly close by. I haven't seen him, but I've heard about him coming down.
But he's out there. So, Bill Murray for sure, we know that's probably the case.
Yeah.
Now, other than that, I don't know. I'm sure she's had other high rollers.
Yeah. We need to have another Ask a Dealer segment. In fact, folks, if you've got a question for a real casino dealer, let us know. Contact us via phone or Twitter or email. Let us know.
Yeah, we'll get a bunch of them together.
We'll have maybe both of them on.
We need to do that just for us.
I know.
It's been a while since we've talked to her.
I know. It's true. Well, as far as pool or spa goes, if we're not there with our wives, no. That's an absolute waste of time.
Yeah.
So, but if we're there with, our wives or family, well, sure, if they want to go to the pool.
Is that the truthful answer?
Well, when everybody came out for my 50th birthday.
Right, you did go. You spent some time.
Yeah, we actually stayed in an off-strip hotel where they had a nice pool with water slides and everything. Yeah, I did the pool there. Yeah.
And what were you thinking the whole time?
Oh my God, how come I'm not playing craps?
Right. Where's the craps table in this pool?
Okay, Scott has got some questions about hardways.
Hey, Mark, Dr. Mike, this is Scott from the great state of North Carolina. I had a couple questions for you today about hardway bets. So the first question is actually directed to Dr. Mike, because I know, Mark, you don't play hardway bets. So my question is, Dr. Mike, when you have hardway bets up and the points made, do you turn your hardway bets off on the come-out roll? So part two of my question is actually for Mark. Typically, I turn all my hardway bets off when the points made in the come-out roll happens. So there's not a lot of thought that I put into that decision to turn my bets off, other than the fact that the first time I played craps, the guy next to me with hardway bets, when the dealer asked on or off, he turned them off. So ever since then, I've always turned my hardway bets off. So I got to thinking about the mathematics around that. Is there a mathematical advantage for turning a hardway bet off on the come-out roll or leaving it on the come-out roll? Obviously I understand that there's a definitely a high house edge for hardway bets to begin with, but I don't know if my mathematical odds get better if I leave my hardway bets up on the come-out roll or turn them off. Well, that's it. I appreciate you guys taking my call and hopefully answering my questions. Thanks.
So what do you do on the come-out roll with your hardways, Mark?
All right. Well, currently, and I'm gonna say currently because it does change.
Yeah.
Currently, my hardways are off coming out.
Okay.
Now, if I have parlayed one, I always parlay the first time they hit.
Mm-hmm.
So if I've parlayed one of my hardways.
Right. And so now it's up to a big amount.
It's up to a big amount. Mm-hmm. And, we're on the come out roll. I turn them off, but then I hop that hardway. So let's say I've got the hard 8 pressed. I hop the hard 8 for maybe like $10 or $15.
Okay.
So if it hits, I'm getting $300 or $450. Mm-hmm. Not as much as I'd get if it was working.
Right.
But it's still, I feel good about,
it's your way to cover it.
Yeah. And I'm, 10 or 15 bucks. If a 7 comes up, I'm going to win on the line anyway.
Right.
So in the past, though, I have had them where they worked.
Okay.
And I haven't done that for quite some time.
Okay, but that's your current.
Because it costs too much.
Yeah, it's your current stance, right?
It costs too much because, if a 7 comes up, you lose them.
Yeah.
And if you're going to cover them, you've got to bet the easy ways. And, it's expensive.
You prefer to have them off.
I prefer having them off.
All right. So to answer Scott's second question, despite what we'd like to believe, there's nothing special about the come out roll.
Right.
It's like any other roll.
Exactly.
And so, no, there is no mathematical advantage to turning your hard ways off on the come out roll, unless you want to say, well, it's always good to call off a bet that has a negative EV, and especially one that has that big a house edge.
Right.
So I would recommend to turn your hard ways off all the time, maybe for every roll, because it has such a big house edge.
Right.
But no, there's nothing special about the come out roll. You know, you're going to win or lose that bet on the come out just as much as you would any other roll.
The thing that I like to have them off is, and Mark is 100% correct on his analysis there, but psychologically,
okay,
I like to have them off because I'm hoping for a 7 on the come out roll.
Right.
Right. I want a 7. And so, if they're off, I don't have to I can still root for a 7, feel good about it when it hits. I didn't lose anything, so that's my.
Sure. And I understand that we are recreational gamblers.
Right.
We're playing a negative EV game.
Right.
So psychology is a big part of it. You know, if we're going to enjoy it or not is
right.
That's
Because it would not be enjoyable if I had parlayed 3 of my hard ways and they're working on the come out and then 7 comes up. It's like, oh God, do I put them all back for that amount of money?
Yeah, that's what you do.
That's
what
probably what I would do, but it's not what I should do.
No, of course not. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's hear from Marty.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike, Marty from Northern California. Just got back from a 10-day gambling trip and wanted to give you kind of a heads up on some gambling outside of Las Vegas. We started out about 10 days ago in New Orleans, stayed at the Harrah's there. Actually, on my trip I had to use up for last year, I had about another month and I had to use up my Diamond Aspirations trip. So kind of a nice trip. They put us up in one of their suites on the top floor. Great suite, great location. The casino was hopping as usual. Interesting thing, it's a Harrah's property, 8 dice tables, 10 times odds, $10,000 max bet, which is strange for Harrah's properties. Even at places like Caesar's Palace now, they've taken it down to $5,000. Not that it affects me, but it's just interesting that they had such high limits in New Orleans, which is a place you normally wouldn't expect that. They also have one crapless craps game, which seems to be hopping all the time. In addition to it, they've got kind of a combination of fire bets and all tall small bets just kind of spread out across the tables. And I asked if they were planning on actually replacing them, the fire bet with the all tall small. And they said no. They just planned on having kind of the mixture because people like the different games. Whereas in most places in Vegas, they're actually pulling out the fire bet in favor of the all tall small just because they don't want to pay the licensing fees on it. So anyway, good time. Tables hopping, crowded every night. It was midweek and lots going on. From there, we went to the Bahamas, down to Atlantis in the Bahamas. Interesting casino, not really affiliated with anybody. As you probably know, Dr. Mike, you can get if you are a Diamond or 7 stars, you can get a free 3 or 4 days there with resort fees covered, everything like that. So we can manage that. Nice casino, interesting kind of way of running this casino. So they've got 5 dice tables in the main pit. They're closed all day. They don't open until about 7 or 8 o'clock at night. They have one table in a pit near it that's open all day long. $15 game, 3, 4, 5, $3,000 max bet. Again, didn't affect me. However, it did affect the guy I was playing with who hit a 40-minute run right before I got there and cashed out for just over $40,000. He was at max on all the numbers. Of course, I was, an hour late. I should have skipped lunch. I could have been there with him. Anyway, interesting game there. They've also got a $25 table over in their high limit room. So a total of 7 tables kind of spread out around the casino. Good place to play. The interesting thing about Atlantis is it is a kid haven. It is a great resort destination for families, which means that lots and lots of kids are wandering to the casino. Not sure how much I like that. I get turning around with some 7-year-old kid watching me shoot dice. Kind of a little bit against that. But anyway, I can't really control that. Also, on the way back, I listened to your last podcast on my flight. You're talking about credit lines. And I've been using it for years for exactly the same reason that Dr. Mike was talking about, not having to bring piles of cash with you around the casinos. It actually works out very well. It's actually the name credit line. It's actually a little bit of a misnomer. It is check writing. And in fact, when they set you up for a credit line, what they really want to know is how much money do you have in your bank account and can you cover any outstanding markers? So something that normally happens at the Caesars properties is some of that paperwork you fill out the first time gives them authorization to call your bank and get an average daily balance. And then they'll issue the credit line somewhere below that number if you ask them for it. Anything that has check writing privileges is okay. So if you want to use like a brokerage account or something through Fidelity or through U.S. Bank, they can do that. The other nice thing is once you're established at Caesars or any of the Caesars properties, they do all of their credit authorizations out of Las Vegas Caesars. So if you happen to be traveling somewhere to another Caesars resort, you just really have to call them and say, hey, I would like to transfer my credit line, or I'd like to get another credit line there. And they can normally set it up over the phone. And then when you get there, all you have to do is just sign the document. It works out pretty well. Again, Caesars really has kind of figured it out. They used to do in Northern Nevada and Southern Nevada differently. They're now all combined through Caesars Palace. So anyway, little tip for you. Anyway, thanks, guys. I really love the show. This is the best podcast out there, guys. Look forward to playing with you guys sometime. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Marty.
Yeah.
That's some good additional information about credit.
Yeah, that's great. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's going to be good for you because for 360 Vegas Vacation 4, we're going to be staying at Planet Hollywood.
Right.
And you and I were talking about, you getting a line of credit there.
Right.
So that'd be great if you can just call them up and say, hey, I've got one at Harrah's. Yeah, you'll have to do that. Good.
Yeah. Well, that's great information. Yeah. I mean, nobody ever told me that.
No, that's great.
I didn't really think to ask.
I thought you just fill out something else online.
Yeah, I thought you'd have to do another credit and they'd check up on you and everything.
Yeah. Contact your host.
Well, that's great.
She
maybe maybe she'll be able to do it for you. Yeah. I love Marty's calls.
Yeah, he's got all that information. I know
it's a ton of information, and plus he's in great places.
I know he's going all over.
We really need to go to Atlantis. I mean, I would love to go.
I know.
My kids would love to go.
Oh my gosh!
I don't know how much my wife would be into it.
Yeah.
But my kids would love to go. And she likes the beach, so she'd probably like it because it's a lot of beach there too. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Now he didn't say anything about. Well, he did say the values of the craps tables.
Yes, he did. There was a 15 that was always open, or at least
because when my brother was there, he said that the blackjack tables were outrageous.
That's right.
He had a hard time finding anything under 100.
Wow.
So
jeez. Okay.
And it was a Saturday night. He went down to the casino.
Well, okay.
They were all like $100 tables, and he's like, I don't want to play $100 blackjack.
Sure. Yeah. That probably a lot of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder what the normal run-of-the-mill midweek.
That's a good question. Well, Marty's saying, a $15 table, that's not bad for, a place like that.
For a place
that has
like
a reputation for
They're not going to have a
Highlands,
5. I mean, I wouldn't expect that.
Right.
15, though, that's pretty good.
That's good.
That's like Caesar's Palace.
Yeah, they have 15 every once in a while. Sure. Yeah. All right, one more call from Gary. He's going to talk about a dealer mistake, and he refers to CSMs. A CSM is a continuous shuffling machine. It's those machines that
cards are constantly being shuffled.
Yeah, you don't have to wait. Yeah. It's basically to...
My dad thinks they're rigged.
Yeah, it's basically to thwart card counters.
Yeah, my dad thinks they're rigged. He thinks that those cards constantly shuffling, somehow they're shooting out the cards they want.
That's right. Yeah, they're reading all the cards determining which ones come out.
Well, you know what? And I'm not saying that they are. But, you can take a stack of money to the cage, 1s, 5s, 25s, 100s, whatever, some 50s in there. They put in that machine, it comes up with an accurate count.
Oh, absolutely. They could rig a machine to determine which cards are going to come out.
So
sure.
It reads
I agree.
money,
I don't think that's happening, but they could do it if they wanted.
They can easily do it. So I can understand why people think that, especially when they're losing. It's like, why does that card keep shooting me 12?
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's hear from Gary.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike, this is Gary from North Carolina. I was just calling in with a quick story about dealer mistakes. This was in probably 2005, 2006 at Treasure Island, or at the time, TI. And I was on a table with a CSM, Blackjack. It was a $5 table, so the pit boss wasn't paying much attention to it. And we had a new dealer. She came in to cover a break, and she started putting the cards in the CSM upside down. So after 3 or 4 hands of this, some of the cards randomly would come out face down so you could see what they were, which didn't really matter because they flips them over for the player. But every once in a while, the dealer's whole card would be exposed. And, of course, everybody at the table, most of the people, they were inexperienced. They didn't realize what was going on, so it didn't even faze them. But me and the guy beside me were kind of looking at each other, and this gives us a huge advantage. Now we're playing $10, $15 a hand, but still, for the entirety of the 20-minute break that she was there, about every third or fourth hand, we got to see the dealer hole card. And it lasted until the guy came back from break, and after the second hand he dealt, when the cards started coming out upside down, he said, "Oh, what happened here?" And of course, one of the people at the table volunteered, "Oh, I think she was putting them in upside down." So they had to shut down the table while they pulled all the cards out and rearranged them. But there for about 15 minutes, we had the advantage over the casino. And, of course, we didn't say anything, and I think that is all fair. Thanks, guys.
what is with this dealer giving the breaks?
Yeah.
After the second card comes out wrong, don't you think she would? Oh, wait a minute. What's happening here? There's something wrong with the machine.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. And did she have a clue when you're hitting your 19? Yeah, I'll take a card. I mean,
now I might be wrong, but it seems to me the dealers giving breaks should maybe be a little bit better than the dealers that aren't giving breaks, right? Because maybe they have to go to a lot of different games, not just blackjack, but different things.
And they've got to be pretty sharp, and they've got to be able to switch in their head because they're going to different tables. Yeah. It's not like I'm going to deal blackjack all night, right?
But 20 minutes worth of, that one came out wrong here, I'll flip it up. This one came.
That's a great story.
Yeah, it is.
And why wouldn't she stop?
I know. Why would she?
Oh my God, I put him in wrong.
Yeah, well, the dealer who came back, immediately, hey, what's going on here, right?
It's not like she's not going to get caught. Like she's thinking, I'll just ignore that one. Nobody will know. Yeah. There's other ones in there upside down.
God, maybe that's why. Maybe she realized, that's right. I put a bunch of them in upside down. Yeah. I don't want to get in trouble.
Right.
I'll just, keep dealing them out. And, if one comes up,
and maybe when the other guy comes back, he'll figure he'll think he's screwed up. I don't.
That's the thing, though, with those continuous shuffling machines is that it's not like it's a shoe where you go through and it's done. Right. So there could be one that's upside down in there, for a good 2 hours. Theoretically, right?
Could never come out, right?
Oh, that's funny. What a great story.
That's a good story. That's probably the best cheating story. Well, not cheating.
Dealer mistake story?
Dealer mistake, mishap story.
That is fun.
I don't even know if that's a mistake.
Well, it is. Sure, of course it is. It's a mistake.
It's a mistake, but it's a weird mistake. Yeah. I mean, how could that happen?
Maybe she just wasn't used to the machine or was used to a different machine where you put them in the other way. Or
maybe she had worked at a casino where their machines just kind of randomly dealt cards up sometimes and sometimes down.
That could be it. Yeah, I'm new. This is typical.
This is the way we did it over at Binion's years ago.
Right. Nothing new. Nothing new here.
Oh, God. That's a great story.
Yeah,
I love it.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We want to thank some people for some PayPal donations. First of all, recurring donation from Zach. Thanks very much. Also, another recurring donation from Brian and Sarah. Thank you once again. And a donation from another Brian. Thank you very much for those PayPal donations. Hey, be sure to check out our TV listings showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks. We update those listings every Wednesday using a customized program to search through all the raw American TV data. Just go to our webpage, youcanbetonthat.com, and click on the link at the top that says TV listings. And you know what? I recently changed the look of the webpage to kind of get up to date with our host. And the TV listings don't show up on our page if you're using a mobile device. So if you pick it up with your phone,
just not enough room.
It's the way that it's formatted. So you might not see it there. I'm going to see if I can do something about that. But if you want to go directly to the page, it's youcanbetonThat.com/TV-listings.
So smartphones aren't so smart.
They're not so smart. No,
they should be bigger.
The smartphone?
Yeah, it's like a tablet size.
Oh, okay. So an iPad that you can make phone calls on.
And you can make phone calls on. You know what we'll do? We'll invent a little backpack that people wear. Uh-huh. And then, they can keep their phone in there so it won't be, because their pocket's too small. Uh-huh. We'll make a little backpack. And then what'll happen is people will get back injuries, we'll get sued.
Nice. And that'll be convenient that way too. Hey, we'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 951-2-WAGERS. Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. Also, follow us on Twitter at YouCanBetOnThat. We tweet when we're heading to a casino, and we'd love to meet up with you. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/YouCanBetOnThat. And finally, head on over to iTunes and write a review on us. When you do, it helps us get new listeners. So when this episode posts, Dr. Mike, you will have probably already gone to MGM National Harbor.
I hope I have. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And your plan right now is to go on Wednesday night, March 29th.
Correct.
Right? And you'll probably get out there maybe 8 o'clock. Who knows?
I'm hoping by 8 o'clock.
Something like that.
I checked sunset. Sunset is like 7:20 or something.
Okay.
In Washington.
All right.
And so, we'll probably be done with whatever for the day, and the kids will go back to the hotel, and maybe they'll have dinner. I'll probably forego dinner that night and go straight to the casino.
Well, of course, we'll be in touch, and we will tweet about it, and I'll even send out some text messages to some of our listeners. And so, but that's the plan right now, is that Wednesday night.
That is it.
All right. Very good.
Yeah. And I'm curious to see. I want to see it. I
Well, my understanding is that the limits have really not come down all that much.
Yeah.
So it's still a fairly expensive casino to go
hopefully
to.
I'll be able to find a $25 craps table.
I hopefully you'll be able to find that. Yeah, that's a low limit table for Dr. Mike, folks.
No, I'm hoping they let me play on that.
Oh, I understand. Okay. Anything else before we go?
No, but did you get my reference to the jerk? That was what I was talking about.
Oh, sorry. When was it? I'm trying to read
when
here.
I said he was
on
we
the
invent the backpack. Remember, he invented the glasses.
Oh, that's right.
And he gave people CrossFit.
That's right. Yeah, first he was a millionaire, and then it all came crashing down.
That's our story. We'll invent the backpacks. We become millionaires. We'll open our own casino. People will get back problems. They'll sue us. It'll all come crashing down.
And then we'll be in the casino. Give me a heartache. That's all I need.
That's all I want is one heartache. Maybe a heart 6.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Good night.